Have you ever experienced racism or a sense of oppression? Do you think so?
At the age of 9 years old, we went to Prince Albert. And matter of fact, we went there to visit Auntie Bernice. And we went to this restaurant and we sat down. And there was not very many people in the restaurant. But then and I see that camera all over.
Just ignore the camera.
We went into this restaurant. We were going to order for something to eat. And we had my younger sister with us. She was only maybe 6 or 7 months old. And they wouldn't serve us. They just said that, matter of fact, they didn't say anything. They just sat there and stared at us. So we sat there for a little while, and I remember asking Mom what was wrong. They wouldn't serve us in the restaurant. We were there to visit Bernice in the hospital. She had TB. It was just as bad in hotels too. Nobody would serve us, and so we had to get up and walk away. And they never said nothing. They wouldn't even talk to us. The boss, I assume he was the boss. He was sitting behind the till, and he just sort of looked at us like we crawled out from under a dirt pile or something. That was one experience. It was just about as bad in the hotel room. We went, stayed in the hotel. Mom rented the room. And they tried to attack her in there. So we weren't able to go to the bathroom unless we had Mom come with us, and then I had to carry Augustine, my sister Augustine.
Like they physically tried to attack her?
Yeah, men tried to pick up my mom because she was Native, and that we found that very strange. And so Mom went and seen one of her friends, so we went and stayed at a friend's place after that. And what else did I think about? When we walked into a store, a lot of times people would just, there'd be some people shopping, you know how it is when people are shopping, they'd follow you. And you felt like a criminal before you even stole anything, even if we didn't steal anything. That's what they do. A lot of people do. They think you're going to steal something. Maybe that other white guy was stealing something on the other side. We don't know. Oh, there's a lot of things, I'm sure. But that's all I can think of right now.
How about at school?
At school, yeah. When they sort of treated you like, oh, you're dirty, you're not very nice. And whenever they had something to do, like if they wanted somebody in a play, they'd ask the white one first before they'd ask you to do anything. Even if a lot of times you could do things a lot better than they could. Stuff like that.
So, is there anything that you think would change this? Or like, how could it change?
How would I change it? Nowadays, I just walk right in there and turn around, talk to them, and keep doing my own thing. It's totally different now, I think.
Do you feel like it's better now?
A little bit, but still you'll go to a strange town or a city and they all just sort of look at you. Another thing too is when I got injured, when I had a back injury and I went to Regina, and the workers there sort of looked down on me. Well, they said, well, why don't you go to the welfare or go go get your money with the Indian Affairs or something like that, which we had to pay our own way. So how the hell are you gonna get money from somebody when you work? You're just getting compensation. You worked for your money, and we paid for everything we got. So why should we be treated differently?
How about with your catering business? Anything?
Yeah,
Yeah, lot.
catering business. When I was catering, a lot of times I had to compete against some of the white people. They didn't want to hire me because I was too dark. We had an incident where these people, they hired me because they knew I was a good caterer, and he hired me, but he didn't want me to serve them because they figured that, oh, we're all Ukrainians here, and they said we don't really want, and he come right out and told me that we don't want natives serving them. And you know, the funny part was, he was married to a native girl. Crazy world to live in. Yeah, that's one thing. And a lot of times we got hired for a job, and then when they found out, you know, they phoned me, and when they found out who I was, they'd say, no, we'd get this other lady. And I know we did a lot more catering and serving people than that other lady did.
Yeah.
We were well qualified. We had everything we wanted, and we did everything right. At least we tried to. Never poisoned anybody. Going to school too, like there was on field day. I was really athletic, and I had two of the people from Meadow River, the district where we were. They'd follow me around because they knew if they didn't follow me, I'd never get all the ribbons I was entitled to. So they they followed me from one event to the next.
To make sure you got your ribbons.
Yeah, to make sure I was treated the way I should have been.
And
Because
what?
they couldn't catch me.
And how old?
Well, it was from grade 1 to
And over the
grade
years, you just had like teachers that followed
Yeah.
you around and made sure
Yeah.
you got everything.
right. Yeah. And I always played baseball and all that, and we were in a long way. A lot of times it was just fun. When we were in Saskatoon, I went to this hospital, university hospital. I was taking Lori to see a doctor, and she was really blonde, and I was sitting with this lady, and she had a baby that looked native, but she was a white woman, and we were sitting there, and the nurse come up to us and said, oh, you exchanged children, you know, you're carrying her baby. And I said, no, this is my baby. And she believed that because I was dark, that she assumed that the baby next to us was my baby instead of the other way around. And this one girl, she started talking about how Native people shouldn't have anything because they want everything for nothing. They don't want to do this. And she looked directly at me and she said, then you get money for nothing. I said, I work just as hard as you do. I spoke up for myself. I said, and I pay taxes same as you do. She said, oh, no, you don't. I said, I sure do. I should know. I'm the one that's paying the taxes. You know, stuff like that.
So, do you feel like you have experienced racism in your lifetime?
Oh, lots of times. Sometimes it's day to day. There's one story when I was in Europe. This is a good story. I was chopping wood and my father-in-law came along and he says, oh, my squaw's working for me. Look at that. She's tough. She can cut wood. And about I was in grade 8, and this girl, she went up and she says, yeah, her dad worked up north, and she says, all the Indian people always eat is just bannock. That's all they ever eat is bannock, and they don't even have butter. And if you come to tell the truth, bannock is made by Scottish people, not by Indians. I went to this Ukrainian dance one time, and this Ukrainian girl got up and she says, what is she doing here? She's not Ukrainian. And because it mean like I'm supposed to be in a teepee somewhere. And I belong to a sewing group, and there's mainly, I notice, because there's mainly white people there. There's very few natives that sew. If they do, I don't know where they. And when I walked in to join the group, the place sort of went silent, and then some people would say, oh, it's because how I look, because I look native. But yet I have native friends that are treaty, and they're okay because they look white. People, when you say Indian, that you live on a reservation, everybody drinks, everybody are poor, they have no morals, no whatever, they can't speak right. And I got lots of times, oh, you think you're white because I don't speak Cree. Well, I never knew people that spoke Cree. My dad spoke French, and my mom didn't keep the language up. But
Do you feel like you have experienced racism or a form of oppression during your lifetime so far?
Yes. You know, I'm only 18 years old, so I haven't had a lot of racism encounters. Through high school, I took calculus. I finished pre-calculus 20 and pre-calculus 30, however went in calculus. I had got my acceptance from Suntep, and my teacher knew that, so if I ever did bad on a test or anything like that, he would just say like, oh, it's just Suntep. Like, you don't have to worry about it. As if Suntep was easier than anything else because it was a Métis program. Which it's totally not. My mother's side is Métis, and my father's side is French and Scottish. So, you know, growing up on my mom's side, we were always too privileged or too good for the other family members. And on my father's side, we were always viewed as the lesser ones, I guess. Although my dad is the only one of his siblings to have post-secondary, we were viewed as a lesser. But it's getting better.
Do you feel like there's anything that can happen or what needs to happen in order for racism to be reduced or non-existent?
I believe that people need to be educated. I know that the making the Indige 107 on the UBS campus is actually going to help, well, hopefully help. Yeah, just to get people educated on what happened and that we're not filthy savages and all that stuff. Yeah.